Are right and wrong real? Well, what do I mean by real? Well, what I mean is it the case that right is right and wrong is wrong? Or are these words simply words that describe one person's preference? Are right and wrong objective? Are they something that is true, something that exists, whether we know it or not, whether we agree with it or not? Or is it no different than me preferring chocolate ice cream and you preferring vanilla? Well, throughout the history of the world, almost the whole of the history of the world, everyone in the world would have agreed that yes, right and wrong are real. There might be disagreements about what is right and what is wrong, but there was agreement that there was a right and there was a wrong. But we live in a postmodern age, an age that denies an objective right and wrong, at least when it's convenient. You see, that's one of the strange things. We have it as a foundational principle of Western civilization in our day, that there is no right and wrong. There were only personal preferences. There's no moral standard that exists above us all that we have an obligation to live up to. Unless we're racists. Unless our carbon footprint is too big. Unless we shoot an unarmed man or kneel on a man's neck until he dies. How in the world can we at one and the same time affirm there's no objective right and wrong and these things are terrible, wicked, evil things? Well, we do it by being absolutely and utterly incoherent. We have a choice. We can affirm one or the other. But what we tend to do, because in the real standard of right and wrong, we're usually wrong, what we tend to do is we insist when we're considering whether or not we are guilty of anything, that there's no right or wrong. But when we're judging someone else, we're perfectly willing to at least act as if we think there is a right and wrong. Let's put it this way. Let's suppose you say there's no right and wrong. I say there is a right and wrong. And I take your wallet. What will you say? Yeah, I'm waiting. What are you going to say? You shouldn't do that? Well, you don't get to say shouldn't if there's no objective right and wrong. You can say, I don't like that. And I can say, and I do. You can say, I wish you wouldn't. And I say, I'm glad that I did. But that's not what you're going to do. You're going to say, you shouldn't do that. You ought not to do that. It is wrong for you to do that. You are being unfair. You are being unkind. And if I say to you, there is no right and wrong, you just said there was no right and wrong. So how can I be doing wrong? It sounds so sophisticated. It sounds so now. It sounds so gracious. It sounds so hip. But you need to understand that when in your graciousness you take the position that says there's no wrong, you're also saying it's not wrong to kill someone in cold blood. You're also saying it's not wrong to pillage and plunder the environment. You're saying it's not wrong to be bigoted and racist. We can't have it both ways. Now, I'm perfectly willing to admit that, again, that we disagree about what is right and wrong, but I'm not willing to suggest that right and wrong cannot be known. And much less am I willing to confess that right and wrong are not real. They are real, and we all know it. And we all do wrong. There's just no escaping that reality, and we would be wise, and we would do well, and we would do right and no longer do wrong if we would just stop saying, there's no right and wrong. There's just personal preferences.